Greg's absence or departure, I should say. Yeah. So Zach, do you have anything to say right now? Or do you want me to just kick it off?
I don't. Trevor and I are helping, but Brian is going to end up doing most of the Greg replacing.
Okay. If some of you could manage the chat as well, if we have people put things in the chat or if they decide to, that'd be helpful for me. I'm going to share my screen. Excuse me. Not that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Okay, there we go. Hopefully everybody can see that. So thanks everybody for coming. If you could put your name in the chat just so we can have that for attendance. That helps me when I'm writing up the minutes. Also, this meeting's being recorded, and that's really beneficial for me when I put the minutes together. So we're in meeting number 5. We're kind of going from hazard vulnerability onto the mitigation strategy today. So here's our objectives for today. Introductions and announcements. I think the main announcement is that Greg Walsh has left the city of Salem and has moved over to Marion County as their director for emergency management. And Trevor Smith and Zach, I don't know how to say your last name, Zach, but Dahl has stepped up, and then also Brian will be contributing for this, trying to finish this up. And I don't know what the situation is of when they're going to get a replacement for Greg, but for now, these are the 3 gentlemen that will be helping us out. And then I'll go through some quick project updates, the community profile, our hazard vulnerability results that we worked on last time, and then kind of step into mitigation strategy. I don't know if Brian or Zach, if you have anything to add regarding introductions and if you've got a job announcement out there or how long we're going to have it in this situation. Brian?
We will hopefully go live on Monday with the job announcement. It'll be out there for 30 days. Our goal is to fill this position with somebody who's qualified. I will preface that.
Yeah, of course.
As possible, just because me wearing both hats is not conducive for having a life outside of work.
Yeah, so yeah, totally understand that.
So yeah, so we're actively doing it. We're waiting on some. We're trying to reclass the position so we can actually offer more money. So we're working on that now, and I'm waiting for a decision. A decision hopefully will be made by tomorrow on that. So and we will go live on Monday. So if you know, but anybody that wants to be an emergency manager for the city of Salem, we're actively looking for somebody.
Great. Okay, thanks. So let's see here. I sent Zach and Greg before Greg left the meeting minutes from the last meeting, along with the agenda for today and some other attachments. I don't know if anybody received those. I didn't see it go out. If somebody did receive that, I'd be good to know. Zach, were you able to send that out, or do you know if Greg sent out all that information?
I didn't send that out. I don't see that Greg did. He was still around when he sent that.
Yeah, okay. Well, we might just put off the meeting minutes. Here's the highlight for the meeting minutes. We did finish the hazard vulnerability assessment for all the hazards. It was a marathon session. So maybe we'll wait to get those approved, and we'll wait until the February meeting on that. Also, I'm working on the draft risk assessment. It's taking me a bit longer than anticipated. So it was supposed to be ready to put out to the public this month. I'm probably going to blend into February and hopefully have it to you by the February meeting. And so we can send that, at least post it online. If I get it done sooner, I'll definitely let you guys know. I'll probably let Brian and Trevor know. It's helpful to have the committee look at it at the same time. However, since we're kind of trying to wrap this up by June, we might just put it out to the public and then the steering committee and the public could submit comments, and then we could make those adjustments after that's done. So just give you a heads up on that. Okay, community profile. I think I'll skip this. I think I've found quite a bit of plans, studies, and reports from Salem's website. I today found some water quality data and reporting that might help me in writing up the water emergency hazard section. If you think of something that you believe I might not have, let me know. But I think I've got most things. I did, and Brian, you might know where this ended up. So at the last meeting, Greg and Daniel Brown were gonna kind of get together and look over critical facilities. I don't think they ever did, because I did email Greg the 2 weeks ago. He was going to try to look at it. I wanted to make sure that we had all the critical facilities identified. Both I sent him the list of the Dogami list of critical facilities, and then also the 2017 Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan list of critical facilities. Wanted to make sure those were all good and whether or not we wanted to expand them. And I did send Greg an example of the city of Albany where they really expanded their list. But Brian, maybe you can just
resend me, please.
Send it to Brian.
Yeah, send it to me, please.
Okay. I will send all that to you, and then you can look it over and just let me know we've got everything covered, or if we want to add stuff. So since you're going to look that over in your extra time on Saturday night, well, thank you. Appreciate it. Our hazard vulnerability assessment, where we looked at each hazard. We looked at the history, the probability, vulnerability, and the maximum threat based on Oregon Department of Emergency Management methodology factors. We came up with, this is our results, and hopefully people can see this. You can zoom in a little bit more. So I kind of color coded these. We have extreme heat as the top of the list, as highest ranking hazard, next to air quality. And then winter storm was up there. I color coded these kind of more of, no set reason why I colored these the way they were, except that there was like a natural break between winter storm and earthquake. So top three, and then we have like a middle section here, and there was a natural break between water emergency and drought. So it kind of can help us focus on mitigation actions, and just show our ranking of hazards. Volcano, landslide are pretty low, and then everything in between. So if you could look at that for a minute, and if you're okay with the way I've ranked these, I will just I'll go back to this slide, but I'll show you what we did in the last plan. So winter storm was ranked pretty high. Extreme heat was different. It was more in the middle tier. So this is how we ranked it last time. Landslide and volcano were still pretty low. Wildfire was low. We didn't have air quality in here or water quality. So they were kind of similar to this year.
The change in windstorm kind of jumps out at me in that. It really dropped.
Yeah, it did.
I don't know if that's, I think everybody remembers the last big windstorm, ice storm situation. So I don't know if we want to reevaluate that one at all. Just putting it out there.
Would that be more, though, the situation of the winter storm, which is higher up? The ice storm, windstorm combined was...
Maybe you're right.
Actually, though, the windstorm didn't contribute a great deal to many of our biggest events, wildfire, smoke, air quality, winter, when we think of all of those above, how much of those were greatly influenced by heavy winds?
So maybe windstorms are more of an amplifier than like a hazard, an isolated hazard.
Little
That's
of
what-
both.
Yeah. That's what it looks like.
Then I noticed that flooding seems to have moved down the list too. Is that largely based on the perceived vulnerability not being as high at this point? Or
Yeah.
just that other things seem to be more pressing and occurring more frequently?
Yeah, let's see. Let's look at flood. Oops, sorry, flood from. So vulnerability was 40. And the weight is 5. So you ranked it lower. 5. Yeah, it was rated, the vulnerability was lower by the group this time around for vulnerability. And let's see here. And maximum threat changed a little bit.
I think it makes sense given the amount of work that's gone into mitigating flood hazards in the city. So just was curious. I think the list looks pretty well organized, ranked.
I agree.
Anybody else want to chime in? Has anybody said anything over chat? Let's see here.
I noted in chat, but I agree as well.
Okay, thanks, Randy. Glad to have you back.
Thank you. It's nice to be back.
Okay, well, we'll move forward with this. If anybody has any concern, just let me know. If you want to talk offline. Okay, I'm gonna move on to mitigation strategy, and I want us to look at first the mission statement, our goals from last time, and see if we want to keep them or change them. So mitigation strategy is what can the city do to mitigate the natural hazards that pose the greatest risk for the city of Salem. And our mission statement from last time is to reduce or eliminate long-term risk to people and their property from hazards and their effects. So your mission statement is your purpose and your primary function of the natural hazards mitigation plan, and it should be adaptable to the future. Question is, do you want to keep it or modify this mission statement? Any thoughts? And it's okay to keep it. Many plans just maintain the same mission statement the whole time. I have provided some examples of other mission statements, if that helps any.
I was just going to ask for that.
So here are a few I just grabbed. I can't remember what cities they came from. So proactively facilitate and support community-wide policies, practices, and programs that make Salem more disaster resistant and disaster resilient. That's one. Middle one's pretty simple. And then the third one, it did go on for a while, but I just captured that first part of it.
Question I might have to city of Salem personnel. Any of those marry up well with city mission?
Thank you for that question, Randy. I'm scrambling. This is Courtney. Hi, everybody. I'm scrambling to find the statement that we have authored. So I'm doing that on the side. I'll drop it in chat when I find it.
Great, thanks, Courtney.
One thing that I'm wondering about is the intersection of our climate action plan and our commitment to equity, or undoing the inequitable impacts. So that's what I'm looking for. Austin, do you have that at your fingertips?
From the climate action plan?
Yeah, I'm thinking about whether, and I'm sorry, I didn't realize my camera is connected to my laptop and not the camera in front of me, but I'm just asking myself whether there's an intersection that we need to highlight with equity. Remember how we defined it for the climate action and for our Salem?
Yeah, I can pull up the one from our Salem quickly.
Well, it's the same thing. We
Yeah, I'll
made
see
sure
if I
they were
can
the
find it.
same.
I appreciate that perspective, Courtney. And I was sort of thinking along the same lines. Our current mission seems pretty individually focused. So I'm wondering if there's a way to broaden it to like the larger community, economy, systems, that sort of thing. Maybe equity is that avenue.
It's got pretty bad formatting. Hold on, I'm fixing it in the chat.
Since you guys are quicker at pulling that up, I'll let you. I was going to pull up the climate action plan. I have it in my files, but
I just gave up on the formatting. You can see what I put it in the chat, and I'm going to go to the city's mission and vision for just a minute too, but keep talking.
I was just highlight. I don't know if everybody can see the chat I just pulled up in front of you.
We also have a focus on resiliency, community preparedness and resiliency, which is something also to consider thematically.
That's the word that I think is missing from our current mission statement.
Now what you put in this chat, are those some of your goals?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
out of the climate action plan and relates to that equity issue I was talking about. I feel like I'm not going to be very effective scrambling to put this together.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's fine.
Can I do something that tries to source all these things and get back to you?
That would be a great idea. I was just about to ask if you wanted to work on something, and since you know where all those are, and come back to the group in February with a draft mission statement for the new mitigation strategy. Would that work?
Thanks, Brian. I'll take care of it.
I just dropped our equity definition from the comprehensive plan in the chat as well. That helps.
Can you guys see when I pull up the chat, or is it just me seeing it?
No, but we can pull up the chat separately, so it's all right.
Okay. Well, Courtney, that'd be great. It sounds like there's some consensus that we need to revise this mission statement for the mitigation plan. I appreciate that. And so if Courtney, you could bring that back to the group on the February meeting. If you're not able to attend the February meeting, you can send it along to Zach and myself and or Brian. And then we'll address it with the group.
Yeah, no problem. I'm sorry, Cynthia, in the beginning, you mentioned that Greg may have had access to these materials.
Yeah, I can send it to you. That's
Thank
like-
you. I could benefit from the context. It's been a while since I've done natural hazard mitigation planning, maybe 20 years. So if I could just have the context, that would benefit me greatly.
okay.
And
Yeah.
then obviously everybody who's Salem on the call, I'll circulate through you to make sure that we're covering it correctly. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
So since we're kind of on the topic of continuing on with from mitigation or the mission statement, we now have goals. I think there's five goals. Yep. So these are the goals from the Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan. And this might be something that you also kind of dive into, Courtney and the Salem group. So your goal 1 is develop and implement mitigation activities to protect human life. Goal 2 is to protect existing buildings and infrastructure as well as future development from the impacts of natural hazards. Goal 3, strengthen communication and coordination of public and private partnerships and emergency services among local, county, and regional governments and the private sector. Goal 4, enhance economic resilience to reduce the impact on the local economy. And goal 5 is to preserve and rehabilitate, natural systems to serve natural hazard mitigation functions and protect natural resources. They seem pretty all-encompassing. So I don't know if you're going to want to change much of these, but this is something else to look at. Do we want to keep these goals or tweak them a little bit? I'll just put that out to the group, what your thoughts are, and if that's something you want to put onto Courtney's shoulders as well.
Everyone knows that I'm not going to come again, right?
I can take a look at how these compare to the goals and strategies in the comp plan. We do have a section about natural hazards and resiliency. So maybe for next time, I could bring back some of the goals from that document and see how they compare.
Hey, Austin, this is Courtney again. I wonder whether you and me and other Salem staff should, because everybody's representing a different discipline, whether we should coordinate together offline. And so, sourcing the city's strategic plan, sourcing the climate action plan, sourcing the transportation systems plan, sourcing our Salem work. Collectively, we might be able to come up with something that represents all of those different disciplines. And then we can pitch it to the group.
Sure, happy to coordinate.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Courtney and Austin. So we will leave those topics and revisit them in the February meeting. So now moving on to our actions, and what we want to do is I want to kind of go through our mitigation actions from the past, from the 2017 Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan, and see where they are, what progress, if anything, has happened. So the first, I'll bring these up in a minute. Table 3-1 in the plan focuses. These are priority actions. They focus the attention on achievable set of high leverage activities, and then they are based on an evaluation of high impact hazards, resource availability, and the FEMA identified best practices. So there's a few of those, and then the action item pool are lower priority actions. Some of them have been carried forward from a prior plan. we may be carrying forward some of these plans, or sorry, some of these actions into the next plan. So that we can keep that in mind. So we want to know what is the current status, and each, you're all coming from different departments. We might not have all the answers, but we'll see what we can get through. We want to know if one's complete, partially complete, in progress, if it's ongoing, or if it's progressing, completed, anything of the sort. So let me pull those. See if there's anything else. Okay. This one. Everybody see that? Let me enlarge it. Does everybody see that document, mitigation strategy, in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks. So here are, let me see here. Here are high priority items, action items. And I want to try to zoom in. Okay. Hopefully everybody can see that. And I'm glad, I don't know if Randy being on the phone, on the call would be, or is helpful, but the first one is identify and designate priority transportation routes. This is, I don't know if anybody is online with Public Works, but they were the coordinating organization, along with emergency management. And Brian, you might also know this, but has this multi-hazard action item been, where are we with it? Has it been completed or not?
Hey, Cynthia, this is Anthony Kamalo with City Salem Public Works.
Yep.
That effort might have predated me, but if it's been done, I would say it probably needs to be updated.
That would, Cynthia, that would be the same with me. This predates me here. Again, we don't have designated priority transportation routes. We really, and I had that conversation a couple times with individuals about us piggybacking on to if and when Salem develops or has designated transportation routes. Same thing, at the state level, which involves the city of Salem. If should we have a catastrophic event, because McNary Airport's going to be a big part of both response and recovery, and the use of transportation and what routes, since that's going to go right through the heart of Salem, obviously. Some big discussion items.
Okay. Brian, do you have any input on that?
So this, Brian. So I sat through a meeting with Public Works on when it came to the weather and ice storms, and I could have sworn that Public Works has designated lanes or designated roads that they have to hit. So I would think that would fall into the same kind of concept of designated routes that they are during an emergency with a major catastrophe. So that's just my thought. If the Public Works on the way in, I would think they do. At least they have a plan.
Yeah, I know we have routes that we hit for to keep clear during weather events. And typically I believe it goes by street designation, by classification. But my knowledge of it doesn't go very far beyond that.
That's my knowledge too, Brian, and everyone. I think there's something out there as far as how that's been communicated. There's also, I know I've talked with State Resiliency on the post Cascadia event because of Highway 22 coming into Salem. DOT's involved in keeping open and reopening a number of main thoroughfares that go through Salem.
Okay, so it sounds like there may have been something done, but it would be a good idea to revisit it. It needs to be updated. Okay, we'll work with that for now. Some of you are on with community development. So now we're in earthquake. Develop an inventory of unreinforced masonry structures and develop appropriate mitigation action items to reduce the impacts of seismic events. So do we know if there was ever an inventory done for unreinforced masonry structures? Any idea? Okay, we might have to we'll have to check in with that with
I'm
others.
trying to think of which department would have that. It's not planning.
It'd be
It's
building and safety.
possible, yeah, that building and safety
Yeah.
has it. So I guess I'm in that same department. I can check with maybe our building official and see if that's something they have.
Okay. Okay, so I'll so you'll check on that, Austin. Thank you. Now Brian might have an answer to this. I don't know. So identify inventory and mitigate critical facilities and utilities that require seismic retrofit. And this shows ongoing. But does anybody know if that's been done besides the Capitol?
I don't have an answer for that. That's something that we'd have to dive into. I don't know, Public Works or building and plan, the plan department would have an idea. I could ask our senior deputy fire marshal to find that out.
Okay. I wonder if, if Austin finds out if there was an inventory through the building department, I wonder if they covered critical facilities and utilities.
Yeah, I
but
mean, I could potentially look back through like our permit history to see what buildings were or what sites have had recent upgrades, if I have a list of those critical facilities. But that's not something I think planning or building and safety would have.
Okay.
We could make a whole series of assumptions about when the buildings were constructed, but we have a tendency not to catalog those things for private firms. We have our own for sure. Is that what you're saying, Austin?
Yeah, I was thinking the city's critical facilities, or
Well, conveniently, we're constructing and reconstructing, right? Most of those. Police station is new.
yeah.
All the fire stations were built after the 2006 bond, and so those were built to that standard. 911 is not.
All been retrofitted except for the training building. So
what was
And
that,
a lot
Brian?
of
Except for the training building. Fire station, which number is that? 11?
well, station 6 has been retrofitted, and that's earthquake resistant. But the training building itself that's next to station 6 has not been done and does not have a generator. But beyond that, the 11 fire stations are good to go.
And in looking at the previous plan, it looked like there was a list of facilities that had been upgraded recently there. So potentially some of that information is already gathered. And we would just have to look at what's been done since the 2017 plan.
Which would be shops, police, and library.
Yes.
But 911 is not. The
911 call center is been earthquake retrofitted. We verified that. And I think I have an email pertaining to that.
It's to a building, it's to life safety standard. It's not to reentry. standard.
Gotcha. Let me find the email.
It would be, as you guys are, what I could do is send you the info from the current plan and then the critical facilities list. And we'll just want to, well, we could compare what's been done, was done in the last 5 years. And, we can highlight that this action item may still say ongoing or progressing. But we could note those things that have been done in the last 5 years in the plan update. So that would be, but I'll send that information to you guys. I'll send it to Austin and Brian and then when you guys ask your respective colleagues, and look at any, any construction or remodels that have been done, you can see what's been upgraded and what hasn't.
Sounds good, thanks.
I'll wait a little bit, see if Brian's going to come back with, I think he was going to look at an email.
Cynthia, while we're waiting, can
Yep.
I go back to the transportation one under partner organizations? I don't know if you want to, we're more than willing to be at any table with future discussions. If you wanted to add our agency to that.
Yeah, we could
Okay.
address that. I'll put it in my notes and when we go into looking at action items for going forward into this next plan, we can make
Okay.
that adjustment. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Brian, did you find anything?
I have not. I have a call into the director at the 911 center. I'm waiting for a
Oh,
call.
okay, that's fine. Okay, so moving on, create a bridge prioritization inventory based on major lifeline routes, including state highways routes and major road arterials. God, I can't even. Arterials.
So-
That's a terrible day to speak. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So yeah, Cynthia, I can speak to that a little bit. Our engineers do maintain a list for bridge priority, but it's really based on sort of like what we were talking about before, street classification. So your arterials are going to be prioritized, and then I think after that it probably breaks down based on age and condition for priorities for upgrades and maintenance.
Okay.
But yeah, it's going to be all the arterials.
Okay. Well, that's so that we could say that it's we'll have to, so there is a list, but it's only for your arterials, right?
Well, the arterials are the ones that are prioritized,
Oh, okay.
right? Yeah.
So, yep. Okay, major routes. Okay. Trying to think about here. Okay. Thank you.
Sure
That
thing.
last, go ahead. Was somebody gonna say something?
Oh no, I just said sure thing. Yeah.
Okay. That last goal, earthquake number 4, collaborate with SEDCOR to develop relevant public-private partnerships with the businesses that can contribute to mitigation, response, and recovery. I don't know if anything has been done there. So it looks like partner organizations, Urban Development, Marion County, Emergency Management, SEDCOR, Regional Solutions. I don't know if Brian has any input on that.
That's a negative this time. I'm
I don't understand. Okay, hi, this is Courtney
Yep,
again.
sure.
we don't have anybody representing our economic development group on this call, but we have a contractual relationship with SEDCOR doing our regional economic development strategy. So we can certainly reach out, and this would be for traded sector kinds of stuff, so big industrial kinds of stuff. Regional Solutions is not really a viable, in my opinion, partner organization, but I'll confirm, check in with Sarah Long before I continue to assert that any further. So I know we are working actively with SEDCOR, and they are our contractor for that work, and I'll just check in with her.
Okay, that'd be great. Thanks. So we'll get back to that one, see what Courtney finds out. Okay, so our Salem action item pool, so these are lower priority. We got a couple multi-hazard actions in here. Coordinate with the Capital Planning Commission to integrate natural hazard mitigation into the state and city respective capital improvements. Don't know if this has happened at all. Anybody have any idea? It says ongoing, so it could be still progress.
I know that the Capitol is in the process of upgrading a number of buildings. I don't know that we've necessarily had a hand in their planning.
Maybe we'll look into that.
Sorry,
sure.
I've been here too long. I would just add that the Capital Planning Commission, we used to have membership on there, the city did. I don't know that we still do. And the reason why it might be designated to community development is because it used to be the director of community development. So that would have been Vicki Woods at the time. I don't know what date this plan was, 2017. No,
Yeah,
it would anyway. And then the Public Works Director has also contributed to the Capital Planning Commission over time. I don't know that we currently maintain those relationships quite the same way as we once did.
Okay.
Does anyone have any update information on this call? Okay, I will figure that out too. Thanks.
Next one is develop an inventory of the number and type of critical facilities within the community that are at reasonable risk for each hazard type. So it's not just earthquakes in this case, it would be flooding. Yeah, didn't know if that's anything. Anthony, if you have any idea.
I don't really.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't really speak to that.
So how about develop public outreach materials for all natural hazard risks addressing the Salem Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan? Materials should include mitigation actions residents and businesses can implement to reduce their risk. Brian, I don't know, besides what's on your website, I mean, you've got a great website for some of that stuff. So I don't know if that existed in 2017 or if that's new. Maybe you can respond to that.
The website's been recently updated in the last year, so I don't know if it's something that we added in after the fact. And Greg was integral in getting that up and running. That I don't have an answer for you on that.
Specifically, what's the question about the website?
Oh, so I'm looking at the mitigation, the multi-hazard number 4 there, develop public outreach materials for all natural hazard risks addressed in the natural hazard mitigation plan. And materials should include mitigation actions residences and businesses can implement to reduce their risk.
We are doing a pretty, with Greg's help, we were really focused on 2 weeks ready for quite a while, and we were doing a lot of messaging about that. And we have a pretty robust, I think, web presence for that kind of content. We're not calling it natural hazards mitigation, but it is true that we have a pretty robust section of our website about community preparedness and resiliency. We had a mayor's task force in the intervening time between 2017 and today. So we've done quite a lot of work in that arena, and I don't see that changing.
Okay, so we could almost keep this. I mean, you've definitely, do you think that occurred all within the last 5 years? That's,
Yes. I know it started pre-COVID. I know that we kept it up. We had we even had like an automated marketing campaign running. So
so
We've
it's, we
built
could
a
say
lot.
that it's, that we completed it, but we're gonna keep it going. We're gonna,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna
we
say
might-
that could change from develop to maintain.
oh, yeah. Yeah. Courtney, would you, I know you've been volunteering for a lot of stuff, but could you write that up to me in an email so I can then incorporate it into the plan, like, just what you've kind of said, what has happened?
yes,
Okay,
that comes back to just the whole council goal about creating community preparedness and not just having resiliency fall on the city's shoulders. So having it be a community effort. So yeah, I can do that.
okay, thank you. Moving on to number 5, include a post-disaster recovery and mitigation annex appendix in the Salem Emergency Operations Plan that encourages property owners to incorporate retrofitting and mitigation measures. So Brian, I don't know if you know what that EOP is looking like right now, but do you know if that is in there?
No, and again, let me apologize. I'm still playing catch up. So
Oh yeah, no, that's right. I might have a copy of your emergency operations plan, or at least one of them. It's online, so we could look. We could see if that's in there. I'll look into that. Number 6, ensure the Unified Development Code updates. Consider specific hazards when updating the Salem Code for mitigating the location of future development. So I don't know if Austin, I don't know who deals with zoning online right now, if that's Courtney and Austin. Do you know if you've incorporated some of that?
It's not Courtney.
I think that one's probably me. We've done some of that. So I think most of our work has been focused on like setbacks from riparian corridors and maintaining those buffers. I don't know that there are any other specific hazards that have been addressed in code updates. Potentially some geological stuff, but that would get more towards like public works area of work. So I think that's an ongoing one, right?
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
probably, and because you probably already have floodplain stuff in your code,
Right.
and you have other, so yeah, it's probably going to be an ongoing one. Okay.
Yeah. I think if there are specific hazards that planning should be considering, that maybe this would be a good place to call those out so that they are a little bit more on our radar.
You know, Austin, I wonder if the climate action plan and some of the 100 and whatever strategies
Yeah.
are related and reinforcing. So we might draw from the climate action plan first.
Sure. Yeah, and that makes sense. And you know, the implementation of the climate action plan and our Salem are going to be ongoing, as well as rules coming from the states. So I think some of that gets at that action. Yeah.
And I know that you, since this is probably under the floodplain action items, but you did, Salem did establish a floodplain management plan. And there's probably plenty of actions in there that we can borrow and use in this one. We could have them in both places. And so that's just addressing floodplain. So I'm thinking. So mitigation action, or the multi-hazard number 7, strengthen or replace unsafe public structures, especially facilities. So it sounds like we kind of answered that a little bit before. Some of those structures have been strengthened or replaced. So since you guys are all working on that list, we could just point out what are Salem's achievements when it comes to strengthening or replacing public structures. We'll just highlight that. So once you guys, Brian and Courtney and whoever else was on that, I don't have it on my notes somewhere, look into all that. We can highlight those. We've got this one. This might be an ongoing one. Continue developing alert and warning systems to notify residents of incidents involving natural hazards and hazardous materials. Brian, I'll lean on you again. Do you have a pretty good, robust alert and warning system in place?
This one I can talk about. Yeah, we do use Everbridge, and we had used it this last summer, and we had some hiccups to when we went to use it. So we are continuing to work through with dispatch and also Marion County on revamping how Everbridge is used and the parameters of what we say when it is used. And so we deploy the correct information out to the individual residents of the city when they need it. So yes, and it's ongoing, and there's a continued development right now where we are still in the process of doing that.
Okay, great. Enhance hazard resistant construction methods for wind, winter, storm, landslides, etc., where possible, to reduce damage to utilities and critical facilities. In part, this may be accomplished by encouraging electric utility providers to convert existing overhead lines to underground lines. I don't know if we have anybody from the utilities, but Anthony, your Public Works, do you have any idea on this one?
I don't. I can speak to transportation issues, but utilities, yeah, I'd be speaking out of school. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. No worries. That might just stay as ongoing.
I would assume that Public Development Services has a policy on that. Zach, can you speak to that?
I don't know that we have anything to encourage them to go underground. I remember asking about that a few years ago, talking with Pamela when she was still around, and neither of us knew of anything.
So maybe it's something that isn't necessarily written down, but it's something that's like a general practice.
I can ask, but I think the utility company, the power and cable, I don't know that we have any sort of encouragement for them to put it underground as it is existing.
Do they typically use the PUEs though?
If they do underground them, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we create public utility easements for most new large subdivisions or land divisions. So in theory, there's a place for them all to be underground that franchise utilities can use.
Yeah.
And that might be one that we just leave as ongoing. Do we know if we integrated any mitigation plan findings into planning and regulatory documents and programs, including the comprehensive plan? In particular, goal 7. Austin, maybe, do you know?
We definitely coordinated during the development of the comprehensive plan to include, natural hazards mitigation goals and policies. They're generally at a higher level than this plan would be, so it wouldn't necessarily be specific, but it aligns.
Okay. When was the comp plan updated?
August.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's probably going to be just an ongoing one. Participate in assessments of the short and long-term needs for sheltering, access, and functional needs populations for all hazards. Do we have any, I don't know if Brian has any answer to that, because emergency management is the first one listed here. Participate in assessments of the short-term and long-term needs for sheltering, access, and functional needs populations.
I don't have an update for you right now.
We do have two hotel projects, and we're currently sheltering fire victims from the canyon. So Project Turnkey has been useful in acquiring 2 hotels, not the city acquiring. Well, we did contribute, but anyway, and we partner with service providers to keep those open.
We could add some of that in there. Okay, that might be. I wonder if that would be progressing, or well, maybe we'll have to figure out how that might stay in there. I think this has happened. This is under drought, complete and implement the North Sandiam drought contingency plan. I think that's happened. Am I correct?
Yes, I believe that you are correct. I also think that we may be in the process of starting to update it again.
Okay.
I have to confirm that. It's been a while since I checked in.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I have a copy of that. Okay. Partner with school districts to help identify and prioritize seismic retrofits for school district facilities. Do we know if we've done that? We'll maybe revisit that.
Yeah, I still owe you information on on some of those things.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, sorry, I'm skipping ahead.
Yeah, you're skipping
The
ahead.
school district has been in the process of updating a lot of their buildings. I assume that seismic retrofits go into that when they're doing major upgrades. So I don't know that we've partnered with them to identify and prioritize, because we don't really have much influence over the school district, but they're definitely doing a lot of upgrades based on their most recent bond.
Okay, we might have to reach out to the school. I know, do we have anybody on from the school district online? Okay. Okay, and then was it Zach? You were going to get back to me on some of the floodplain stuff, right? Update, maintain, and implement flood actions through a floodplain management plan, which you've developed a floodplain management plan. Let's see, improve the city's NFIP program and the CRS system rating. Do we know if we changed CRS ratings? And we don't have the, Zach?
Yes, yeah.
have?
We've done quite a bit to improve that rating.
Okay.
And I think, Zach, it's true that anything further is pretty cost prohibitive.
We are getting to a point where it takes a lot to move up anymore.
What are we at now? You know,
I don't know off the top of my head, but I can get more information on that.
okay. Well, I know you're getting back to me with some stuff, so just tag on anything else that might address these floodplain action items. I think those are the only two. Update and maintain and implement flood actions through the flood management plan. And then you can give me a little synopsis of what we've done here for floodplain action item number 2.
Yep.
That'd be helpful. Thanks. And those might just stay as ongoing, I'm thinking. Landslides. Do we have map areas of landslide risks adjacent to the, well, it looks like map areas of landslide risk adjacent to the North Santiam River upstream from, I don't know how to say this, Garin Island, water intake structures and areas impacted by the, by a catastrophic failure of Detroit and Big Cliff dams.
I
Yeah.
have a feeling that is something that has been done, but I will have to confirm the status.
Thanks, Jennifer. Do we know if we have updated landslide overlay maps at all?
We updated a lot of our LiDAR information in 2018, so I'll have to check to see if that included the landslide overlay.
Okay. And we've got utilize updated regional landslide risk maps. So that probably coincides with that one that we just, the LiDAR. So Zach, yeah, if you can get back with me on that, that'd be great. Windstorm, partner with public and private utilities to educate the public about hazardous trees. That might correlate with what Courtney, you were saying with some of the, what is it? The ready, 2 weeks ready, or the other info that you're putting out there.
Yeah, that's true. And it's also true that PGE has done some pretty aggressive pruning, as has Salem Electric after our ice storm. So partnering with the public, these are, I think we're talking about street trees that damage. I don't understand.
So it looks like it's just basically partner with public and private utilities to educate the public. So just, it's more of an educational thing.
Okay.
I don't know if that's on the website, I could look, but
We've done a lot on the website about street trees and who's responsible for which tree, and we've done a lot of tree stuff.
okay. Well, that probably helps with that.
Planning also did outreach to a lot of the city's arborists after we updated our tree code. So the standards for what types of trees are protected by our code changed early last year. And we did a big push to make sure that our local arborists understood those changes. So they're at least aware of the process for how to address a hazardous tree.
Okay, great.
Also, it's not as much public outreach, but along the lines of partnering with utilities. I know that our urban forester is and arborists that work for the city public works. They do a lot of pruning around, utilities and work closely with private utilities to make sure that there's not there's minimized risk when it comes to city-owned trees.
Great.
And we will be doing further updates to tree information on our website, so we can add some additional clarification on this if there's some kind of clear message that we want to make sure gets highlighted.
Okay. So the next one is related to winter storms. It's the same goal or same action. Winter storms, they probably some overlap there. I'm gonna move on from that one though.
One thing I just remembered is that last year after the ice storm and all the tree damage, we did put up a web page about trees and winter storms and how a lot of information related to that. So I would say that that's there's some good information on our website that would help towards that goal or that action.
Okay. Wildfire. Conduct wildfire prevention outreach. To residents near wildland urban interface areas.
I can touch base on that as well. So we have an active volunteer who does this with the neighborhood associations. On top of that, this is ongoing. This is something we're working on a regular basis, and we just updated our internet webpage to allow residents of the city to be able to have access to all those mitigation factors. We also just applied for a grant, a $10,000 grant for us to be used in May to improve our approach to help the community get better access to all the documents and all the stuff they need to mitigate the wildfire issues that we're having. And we're continuing to have each and every year that continue to get worse.
Okay. So we'll keep that as ongoing. I think these two, the ones that the winter storm, windstorm will keep as ongoing, but we can provide some updates on that. Hazardous materials, although I don't technically address this, but you could maybe give me some feedback if you want. Map facilities that handle or contain hazardous materials, rank them based on their level of risk, and refine response strategies for each situation in the event of an accident. Do you know, maybe Brian, if this has been done for a hazardous materials incident?
It has not, but I would say that would be a hard to map every facility that handles or contains hazardous materials. I can ask the fire marshals if they have something. We can also reach out to the state hazmat team that works for us to see if they know. But I will say that one will be difficult at best. But I can reach out to Sean and find that out.
Okay, that'd be great. Okay, I think we worked through all those. I might be, if I need more information, like a simple write-up, I'm gonna just try to review all this and maybe give you all some information to work with and then get back to me, as we discussed above. And then if following up, I may want you to help with how to word something in the plan just to show what has occurred since the last plan update. So this is great. We can probably end early because that's, I think, all. Let me see what else I have on my agenda. Oh, last, I just wanted to point out a couple grants and programs and resources. So there's a new grant from FEMA, Safeguarding Tomorrow revolving loan fund program. Their application time is between February 1 and April 28th. So it definitely looks like applies to mitigation measures. There's also an alert and warning technical assistance workshop that's occurring in February. And actually, I think there's February 14th is one of the dates, and the 21st to the 22nd. If you know anybody who, any kids in grades 8 through 11, the Youth Preparedness Council is looking for leaders throughout the nation. So they can apply by March 6th. On January 31st, there is a community wildfire risk reduction grant webinar through the Oregon State Fire Marshal. And then also this Cascadia Region Earthquake Work Group is going to have a webinar on February 8th regarding equitable access to affordable earthquake insurance. So if that interests any of you or your agency, just wanted to give those out, put that out for you to look into if you're interested. I'm just learning about this Safeguarding Tomorrow revolving loan fund program, but it could be a funding opportunity in the future, if not this year, for some mitigation. Okay, that's it. Our next meeting is on February 21st, and we will dive more into the mitigation strategy. And I probably should put on here risk assessment discussion, maybe do something there. Okay, anybody have any comments, questions? Thanks everybody for helping out with this.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thanks for your work on this, Cynthia.
Mhm.
Hey, Cynthia, when you get a sec, will you give me a call?
Yeah, I'll do that. Once
Thank
we're
you.
out of here.
Appreciate it.
And Trevor and Zach, could you just let me know when this is posted online? I typically use it to help me write up minutes. Oh, and could you
The recording has stopped.
send me the chat, Zoom chat? That'd be great. Okay, and we're done. I'll call you, Brian, in a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.